Hello and welcome to everything you need to know about this special edition single malt whisky from Old Pulteney. The Old Pulteney Pineau de Charentes, excuse my pronunciation, is a part of their coastal series and is described as wine cask matured. The label reads matured in ex-bourbon casks and casks from the oceanic Charente region north of Bordeaux, fruity, sweet and balanced. Before we break this open, a very quick look at the Old Pulteney distillery itself. Established in 1826, Old Pulteney distillery is located in the Pulteney Town area of Wick in the very most northern part of the Scottish Highlands. As the coastal series name suggests, this is a coastal area with strong connections to the sea and related industries. The distillery is not in fact named after the Pulteney Town area in which it is situated, but was rather named in honour of Sir William Pulteney, a Scottish advocate, landowner and prominent politician who sat in the House of Commons in the 1700s and 1800s until his death in 1805. And it was he who the Pulteney Town area was in fact named after as well. The Old Pulteney distillery was the most northern on the Scottish and British mainland until 1822, until that accolade was taken by the Wolfburn distillery near Thurso, just 20 miles up the road. In its early years, the Old Pulteney distillery was almost inaccessible by land, and as a result, barley was transported in by sea, and of course the resulting whisky was shipped out the very same way. Many characteristics of the whiskies they produce are attributed to being exposed by the sea air during maturation. Like many Scottish distilleries, Old Pulteney was forced to close its doors in 1930 due to declining sales after the local parish enforced prohibition laws, but thankfully reopened in 1951 when the vote was rescinded and the law was abolished. So back to the name and why Pineau de Charente, and more importantly, what is it? Pineau de Charente is often just referred to as Pineau and is considered a regional aperitif of Western France, and in this instance specifically the Bordeaux region. Although it is popular within its regions of production, it is less well known in other areas of France and worldwide in general. It is a fortified wine, which for those who are unaware is a wine with a higher ABV spirit added to it. This process is the fortification itself. In the case of Pineau de Charente, the added higher ABV spirit is brandy, which itself is distilled wine. And again, in this case specifically, is typically brandy also produced by the same producer as the base wine itself. According to the Old Pulteney website, their Pineau de Charente offers a lighter, sweeter taste laid on signature Old Pulteney flavours, delivering a truly wonderful dram. And now it's time to find out, is it any good? We've now learned quite a lot about the whisky and the brand, but, well, the proof is in the tasting. So it's time to get it open. It comes in this lovely display box. There's heaps of information on the back, which I actually haven't read yet. I did all of my research for this, well, independent of the box for some reason, but I'll have a scan down that in a minute and see if there is any other information that you need to know about. But first, let's just get into it. So, this lovely display box, as I said, it's just very nice. It feels thick, sturdy. It's got many creases of cardboard to it, which is an odd phrase, but trust me, you'll know what I mean when you pick one up. Especially the lid, which actually in itself isn't all that easy to get into. It's kind of got this double-edged thing going on. I don't know if you can see, but basically this presses into that and it grips pretty well. Let me take out the bottle, which you have already seen a few times. Here it is then. It's got a glorious colour to it in the bottle, it has to be said. So I think I just saw it described as kind of rose gold, but anyway, yeah, it's got a slight reddish hue to it, but lovely golden colour there. And yeah, you've already seen the bottle many times, but it does look absolutely fantastic. So let us break this open. Little tag right on the top here for opening, which broke halfway round, which isn't ideal. There we are. Nice compass cap on the top of the bottle there, if that will focus. Beautifully sweet, almost like candied citrus peel aroma when you open it. And grab a glass here and get a little dram on the go. I tell you what, they weren't wrong. In the glass, that is absolutely got a Beautiful, slight rose red, almost like diluted raspberry hue to it. It's still gold, it's still, you know, whiskey colour, but yeah, there is just a hint of rosé in there somewhere. Right then, aromas. It's very interesting, this. Really quite a few different things going on that maybe you don't see together too often. And overall, there's this kind of deep down, in craft beer terms, it's almost where we go with dank, but it doesn't quite get there. It's got an earthiness to it that's not peated. I was going to say it's salt of the earth kind of stuff, but then, well, that leads me on very nicely to the next thing, which, despite that very earthy nature which dominates the aroma, it's got this kind of fun, spritzy, zesty sea spray that's, well, appropriate given their location, but it's definitely something a little of the sea about it. And if you can just take your nose a bit further away, you get back to that sweet, candied orange peel that I mentioned before. It's distinctly Scotch, and at the same time it does have this super fruity, boozy note that, well, you would expect from a French fortified wine. No surprises there. But now the important moment. Let's get to tasting it. Cheers. And that is why I bought this bottle. Old Pulteney. This is my first bottle of Old Pulteney. I've not really had much from them before, and so far I am really digging it. I have to say that oceanic seaside salt spray thing I've experienced in Talisker, in Lefroy. I don't necessarily get on that well with those whiskies, but I do appreciate a lot of the flavours, and that's one thing I've been missing, is that kind of salty ocean vibe, but in something unpeated. And this, it does have it. Maybe not in as much abundance as those island distilleries, but it's definitely there. Overall, though, the full flavour profile, well, it's undeniably sweet, fruity. I have to say, right at the front of the tongue, it does remind me of some dessert wines. It is very much on the nose in that respect, and the candied orange peel is there again. There's a touch of something ever so slightly medicinal in the background. It's very, very low key though, and there's a drying of the palates, a drying of the lips, which just results in a little bit of that ocean sea salt kind of thing. It's not seaweed, this, but it's a little earthy, a little sweet, and a little sea spray. Really, they're the absolute components for me. And then in terms of tiny little hints and details above and beyond what we've already said, well, it's back into the wine. Think dried raisins, sultanas, strong, warming kind of brandy cognac experience, and the finish is not massively elongated, but at the same time you're left with loads of nice subtle notes to enjoy. It's sun-dried fruits, it's candied orange peel once again, it keeps creeping back in, and almost a boozy Christmas pudding element somewhere in here. I'm going to add a very tiny drop of water to this, just to see what happens. That releases a lot more fruit, but a lot more alcohol burn as well. This is a 46% whiskey, and I have to say, I think the water possibly doesn't make it any more approachable. It's certainly opening things up, but not necessarily in always the right direction. It's got a lot more alcohol burn on the nose, and on the palate, it's not worse necessarily. It's certainly not better though, and what it does do there is really, it really brings the Pinot to the forefront. It's those sweet fruit, almost boozy syrup quality that comes forward, and unfortunately adding water takes away an awful lot of that earthiness, but also a lot of that sea-born character as well. It's still very nice, but I think for me, this is a without water dram for sure. So then, hopefully that was a bit of an insight about what it actually tastes like and what the experience is like. I'm just going to have a quick read on the back of the box here to see if there is anything that we have missed. On their description of this, they say, this release is fragrant and rich with sweet honey and vanilla base notes. I'm not really getting the vanilla at all. The sweet honey very quickly can turn into like candied citrus peel. It's both sweet and floral, so yeah, fine. It says intense fruitiness with sticky balsamic raisins on the nose lead to an oak perfumed wine reduction and creamy vanilla. My palate is not that complex. It says caramelized hazelnuts and ground spices grow into an immense lingering finish. It tails off this broad sweetness, drying slowly towards a savoury finale of coastal minerality. Well, the end I agree with. The coastal minerality, also known as salt, definitely a bit on the end there, but all of those other things, I could see an argument for a pepperiness, a light spice, but I think that nuttiness is actually just the oak. I mean, it all is really, but you know what I mean. But it's to me, it's coming across. It's more just fairly generic woody Scotch notes than it is distinctly hazelnut. But I have to say, I have absolutely no regrets whatsoever with that, because whilst it's not always perfect when water is added, I think that is just a different enough experience, but without taking away any of those real strong, characterful flavours that the distillery is known for. So, yeah, big thumbs up in my book. Have you tried it? Or have you tried anything similar to this? Please let me know in the comments below. Now, I did say that this was a special release and we were going to talk about that. It turns out that Old Pulteney are going to do one special release a year for the next 4 years. Now, this was the 2022, so we can expect the 2023 one any time now, and then there'll be ones in subsequent years. Based on this one, I can see myself going for all 4, so it'll be interesting to see what else they do, but yeah. Watch this space, I guess. And that really is everything. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already subscribed, if you will be so kind. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers.